Howdy everyone, and welcome back to the CrappieEngineer YouTube channel. So today I want to talk about something that nobody really warns you about before you start to get into investing. And it is that once you actually understand compound interest, and once you've watched your own money start to grow without you doing anything too special, a weird thing starts happening in your head. You start attaching a future value to every single dollar you spend, and you go to buy something completely normal, and some part of your brain runs the math anyway for you. And it's that maybe this $20 I'm spending on a new game or food, invested instead at a reasonable return over the course of 30 or 40 years, can become a lot more than just $20. And once you can't turn that calculation off, spending money starts feeling a little bit less simple. And this is what I mean when I say the opportunity cost trap. I'm going to talk about why financial literacy can quietly become a mental burden instead of the tool and relief that it's supposed to be for you. So, opportunity cost isn't really some complicated idea, and pretty much anyone who's taken a basic economics class has heard of this. And it basically just means that every choice has a trade-off. It's the thing you did versus the thing you gave up to do it. Maybe you spend money on dinner, and because of that, you give up investing it or spending it on a new pair of shoes. And maybe you spend time on one thing, and because of that, you give up doing another thing. And this part's pretty simple, and it's not really going to be news to anyone. But what actually gets complicated is the specific version of it, and this shows up once you actually understand compounding and time in the market. It's not just that this $20 is gone now. It's that this $20 could have become $200 in 30-ish years. So what I'm actually spending right now isn't $20, it's $200. And once your brain starts pricing your purchases in future dollars instead of present dollars, everything can kind of get more expensive in your head, even though nothing has actually changed on paper. And I'll be completely transparent here. I'm already starting to feel a version of this myself. And I know I've talked before about being a pretty boring and relatively disciplined investor, and I watched my own portfolio actually compound over the last while. Not super huge numbers, and I'm still a college student, but there are stretches now where what my portfolio grows by is definitely keeping pace with what I'm actually making at my part-time job. And that's some combination of growth and appreciation, dividends getting reinvested instead of sitting there doing nothing, and just being diversified enough that a bad week in one spot doesn't wreck my entire portfolio. And what that's actually done is make me want to take less risk, not more. Every dollar I've got sitting there growing on its own feels like something I really do not want to disturb. And the flip side of that is I catch myself hesitating about purchasing stuff I probably shouldn't even think twice about, because some part of my brain is running the same math this whole video is kind of about. And I'm not really at the extreme version of this yet, but I can feel exactly where it leads if I let it run unchecked. And I think this is worth talking about before it gets there instead of after. Now, here's the part that makes this genuinely confusing instead of just a kind of a bad habit to fix. And it's that being aware of this stuff is actually good for you. And it means that you understand the real value of a dollar in a way that most people never will. Most people end up spending their money without ever thinking what money could do for them otherwise. And that's exactly what most people don't end up building wealth in the end. So the awareness itself isn't the problem here, and the problem is more of that awareness never turns off. When every single purchase, whether large or small, turns into a debate you have in yourself about whether you're setting your future self back, that's not really financial discipline anymore, and that just becomes a different kind of stress that replaces the stress you were trying to get away from by becoming financially free in the first place. You wanted control over your money, and instead your money started controlling how you think all day and about almost everything you do. So at this point in the video, you may be asking, well then, how should I actually be framing this for myself? And here's what I think the actual answer to this is. And it's something I already built up with how I handle money without realizing I was solving this exact problem in the first place. So back in my channel overview video, I talked about my rule, and it's that 20% of every paycheck I make goes into investing, no exceptions, and no debate every single month. It's a fixed expense for me. So, the reason that rule matters here is that it has already made the decision for you, and I'm not negotiating with myself every time money hits my account about how much should go to the future. That fight has already happened for me once, and it's over. So, once the futures allocation is already locked in the automatic category for you, the rest of the money isn't competing with compound interest anymore. It's rent money, spending money, and car loan money. You don't have to relitigate the opportunity cost of a $20 dinner if the 20% that actually matters in your future has already gone and been working for you before you even see the number in your account. So, this is basically the same idea as keeping the deals you make with yourself as well. You keep one deal and you hold it completely instead of renegotiating your whole financial life every time you want to buy something. So, what does this actually look like in your day to day life? And I think the move with this is just being super intentional instead of being to either extreme here. One extreme is obvious, and it's spending money mindlessly, with no plan, nothing invested, and ultimately, due to this, you will end up with nothing later on in life, and nobody needs convincing that this would be bad for them. The other extreme here is much less talked about, and it's the one that this whole video is actually about. And it's the extreme of optimizing every single dollar so hard that you stop living in the present at all. This forces you to skip out on things you actually enjoy because you ran the future value math on them first. That's not discipline, and that's kind of just trading one poverty, being money, for another kind, which is experiences and memories you don't ever get to get back and collect later on in life. So you need to spend on things you actually value on purpose and let the system you already built handle the rest without a debate every time. And the main thing to take away here would just be you need to be extremely intentional with your money month to month so that you don't have to stress out about these decisions. So here's where I land between these extremes. The awareness that got me into this whole mental spiral is the same awareness that's actually letting me build real money for the first time in my life. And I don't want to lose this awareness, but I also don't want investing 20% of my paycheck to somehow convince me that the other 80% isn't allowed to be spent and enjoyed. That was never the deal I made with myself. This deal was that 20% consistently, no exceptions, not 100%, and not a guilt trip attached to the rest of it. So, in short, tomorrow's never guaranteed, and no amount of compounding will fix that for you. So, the actual goal isn't to squeeze every dollar for its maximum future value. It's to build the one system that handles the future for you automatically, so you're finally free to stop doing the math on everything else. And that's the whole point of having the rule in the first place. And one extra note is that as your income increases and your career progresses for you, you need to try to keep your savings rate consistent and keep these deals through any sort of income fluctuations so that stuff like lifestyle inflation doesn't get out of hand for you. Howdy guys, and thank you for watching another CrappieEngineer production. Let me know in the comments if you felt the same thing once you've begun investing, or if you found your own way to shut out this sort of mathematic overthinking. Or if you never cared in the first place and this video is kind of helping you see a new perspective on personal finances. Anyways, like and subscribe, and I'll talk to all of y'all soon.